Hello, everybody, and welcome back. One more day. Hold on, let me change my glasses. Get my new pair of glasses so they don't reflect so badly. Yeah, I still do. Well, we are here today again to celebrate, and I just am still shaking from the realization that Julian Assange is out of jail and no longer incarcerated. Now, the question is, he is free and breathing fresh air, and then it's so exciting. And that's something that we never thought would happen, actually. I just never thought would happen. I thought they were going to use him. But this is the kind of, early October surprise. This is the kind of thing that gets the voters to the polls for sure. But see now, if you're into, well, I'm just going to say this. As a kid, I found my way somehow into the halls of the Masonic Lodge in Morristown, New Jersey. Morristown, New Jersey is a place where I think George Washington set up the lodge. Okay, so I was a D Malay. A D Malay is a youth of the Masonic Order. And I was introduced to the icon that they follow there, which is Jacques de Molay, who was able to, I don't know, denounce or renounce or hold on to his faith or some kind of wacky story about that. That's my takeaway, is that he showed a lot of faith and resilience against all odds and so forth and so on, and created, a secret order so they could have their way and do it. Well, but the Masons are all, involved with the architecture of everything. They're just obsessed with everything. The whole design of Washington, D.C. is based on a Masonic order. But we all know this. So it's interesting if you were to catch the idea that I guess it was a offering to the people, if you will, because he is a symbol more than anything. Julian Assange has been a symbol. That's it. Because as a reporter, as a person doing their work, as a journalist, having this information and watching people being gunned down in the streets early in the game. This is before it was so commonplace. And then it just took off into its own rail. It just became this whole, and then Chelsea Manning. How did that? And then all of a sudden there's this whole intrigue, and now we're into another long saga. And I just am so glad that he is now no longer in that isolation chamber. And this is where we, on the white hat side of things, can look and say, you know what, this is great. Stuff you never thought would happen. Now, what else do you think will never happen? And that's what will happen next, you see. So that's, again, being anticipatory designer, being anticipatory, let's just think about it. So as we are listeners of KPFK and Free Speech Radio for a long time, then we know that the thread starts. But isn't it funny? Now, did you notice the date? I did right away, because I'm always looking for, I'm one of these people that see 11/11 all the time. I see 7/14, that's my number. I see 7/14 all the time now. I see that number everywhere, and I make it up because I want to see it, of course. And it helps me feel like I'm connected to a larger framework of the matrix, if you will. That gives me comfort, because I know that I'm never going to be alone. I'm just going to be part of this all, okay? All of the cosmos. Now the question is, okay, so Julian Assange, back to that. Still pretty good. Six. The way we do numerology is whatever numbers are in the grouping, they add up to that number. So June is a 6. On the day he was released was 24th. So 2 and 4 is a 6. And that was 2024, which is another 6. He was brought out of jail on 666. That's interesting. Huh? So 6 is now the number that is connected to Saturn, of course, because on the top of Saturn, at the north pole of Saturn, is a 6-sided shape. Now, that Metatron's cube, that 6-sided shape, got brought down into a tabletop and starting charting with dots and a compass and a pencil and a compass can create Metatron's cube, which is everything. It's a picture of any. Now, Plutonic. Pluto is a person who was another derivation of, guess who? Thoth, the Atlantean. So Thoth comes through these people through incarnation, and some people will write Hermes, Pluto, and Pythagoras, of course, seen as another Thoth. Da Vinci, of course, is in modern times. I would say that absolutely, Buckminster Fuller comes into that category of being able to think in such a global way, and that's who I like to fall out with and hang out with in the large S of what's going on. So today is the 26th, and we are still celebrating, we're reeling with this thing, but we're wondering like which shoe is going to drop next. And of course, well, even though all that stuff and they punished this one guy, I mean, the war continued to perpetuate and, excel and move forward. So we haven't really made any progress on that level. But why don't you come in here, Renee, and tell me what you think?
Hey, so this is a really big movement forward. A lot of people have been looking for this day because it's bigger than Julian. This is what you're getting at here, right? Julian is more of a scapegoat, or he took the brunt of this on himself, but it wasn't really about Julian Assange, right? Can you talk a little bit about the deeper
Well,
implications?
it's interesting. Julian, of course, is another word for July.
True, true.
So, but on 666 was a very much stronger number. That is a stronger number in terms of, obviously, the voodoo wrapped up with 666 tells you that it may be a wink and a nod to some dark-sided, to the dark side. He might be being put up to be sacrificed or done some even more heinous things to this cat. I don't think we're
Right.
done with him yet. He's too easy, right? He's too good looking. I mean, he's the cutie. He's like, how can
Yep.
you not love this guy? Kiss that face.
Right. Yeah, he's adorable, right? And
And he's
he just
also right. I mean, he's like, not only that, but he's got absolute integrity behind him. He's not really done anything wrong.
okay, so
He's the
let's
other
talk
Joan of
about
Arc type of person. He's this other type of thing. So we see the pattern. Remember, we're all fans and students of Christopher Alexander, right?
right.
And he showed us about pattern language, correct?
Yep.
And once you learn it and start to look at it, you can't unsee it. You start to see these patterns over and over again. So you start to look forward, like, okay, what is going on here? So, I don't know what's going on. And then you look to, well, if we start with Amy Goodman, she's, where is she playing in this game too? But
Well, we're gonna get to Amy Goodman in 1 second, but I think a great segue when we're talking about Julian, when we're talking about Amy Goodman, when we're talking about you, and everything that we stand for. Why is freedom of speech so important? Why are we fighting
Oh,
to
well,
make sure there aren't these secret things? I
oh,
mean, Julian was punished for revealing the truth.
you know,
What does free speech mean?
well, I don't know. Hopefully, see. This is the thing about what Bucky said. His advice was to stay about 50 years ahead of the curve. That way,
Mhm.
nobody could send you up the, put you on the stake as a heretic.
Right.
If you get any closer, they're going to come after you, and boom. And all the people who have come up with the perpetual motion machine that have been, silently taken away and disappeared someplace. I mean, I guess
Right.
we're putting ourselves in that same line of fire by just simply talking about the laws of the universe and impeccable speech, and this must be subversive to somebody, but I hope not. I hope it's enlightening to everybody. I hope the guy that wants to put me to jail can win from what I'm going to tell him.
Right, right.
If I that's where it really rubber hits the road, because if you get into that bind, you have to bring your integrity with you. That's the only thing you have. If you have integrity, if you don't, then you got to pretend like you're Trump and do all this kind of crazy thing, like point fingers, pretend, he won't concede to the election. Now he's going to say that if he loses, it was rigged. If he wins, it's rigged. I mean, this guy, he's just the worst. Like, he's Cartman on steroids. You cannot get, literally,
He is
you know,
Cartman, yeah.
if you look at Back to the Future, now here's another weird
We're talking about Donald
anomaly.
Trump now. Yeah, we're
We're
talking
talking
about
about
Donald
Trump, and we're
Trump. Yep.
talking about the movie state of affairs that we're in. And you tell me
Mm,
that there's not a code in this thing, and I will give you 5 cents. My
right,
betting limit is
exactly.
about a nickel. Okay.
Right.
Oh, good. Hey, Bob, how you doing, man? Come on, come on in.
He said Trump is no doubt a hot mess. Yeah,
Hot
Trump is a
mess.
hot
I mean,
mess.
no, it's like, okay, you remember when Biff got to
Yeah.
be mayor?
Yep.
Okay, well, this is it.
It's the same thing. He's
It's the
Biff. Like
same.
a
Well,
lot of
how did they
people.
know? How did they know? And then in that whole thing, the two tires going down the way, the 9/11 whole connection with that, all
Right.
before 9/11 happened. It was all foretold in that damn movie. And you
Right.
tell me that the Jews don't run it all? What? Who is it? What is
It
that
was
one with South Park now? It's all, what's his name? Kyle runs it. It's all
yeah,
Kyle's fault.
Kyle, right, yeah. This is all from South Park. It's all from
It's all
Idiocracy.
from South. It's complete ridiculousness.
It's
But sure, like, let's just
ridiculousness.
follow
Yeah.
it, okay? But the point is that we don't do that anymore. We get back into what it means to be okay.
Right.
Let's breathe. Remember to, like. So here's the numbers of breathing. It's like 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. Now hold it. 8. However you can hold your breath, that's infinity. And then it goes into 5, 3, 2, 2, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0. Okay. So that is the math of it. It's just this, it's the math of a wave. There's a moment at the crest, but we can hold our breath. So that becomes infinity. Wow. How long can you hold your breath? That's infinity. I mean, you tell me if you've ever, mhm, let me tell you, that's when the life force kicks in. It goes on its own, right? If you try to hold your breath, it's, put your head under the tub, right? What do you do? I mean, at one point you should come up for air. You got to come up for air. That's when life force takes over. But anyway, here we are. So we're talking about this, and we're seeing patterns, and we're seeing that he was released on 666, which is, I think, a wink and a nod to the insiders. Like, this guy, we gave these guys a break. Remember that Biden is the end of the Bush. Put pictures of Biden up if you want. Biden is the end of the Bush Cheney legacy. The question is, where does Harris fall into the next chapter? This is when Arya from Game of Thrones ascends to the throne, right? Arya, we like her because she's kind of like, she's done a couple things. She takes chances. She's not afraid to take a life, but generally errs on the side of, softer. But and this is kind of where we go. We like to watch this thing. But thank you for listening. You got anything else, Renee, before we pack up and
Yeah, we want
get on down the road?
what we want to do is we want to go over to Amy Goodman's democracy. Amy Goodman, can you give an introduction to who she is and what democracynow.org is?
Oh,
And we're going
well.
to put on what she wrote about Julian.
So here again, it'd be nice to think that I just came out of a vacuum and decided to go off and do these types of things. Really what I did is I was in a desperate place in my life, and I started to listen to the news voraciously, and I just really could see the difference between commercial news and free speech radio. And I found, Amy Goodman, of course, to be super refreshing, and she still is, and just the most. So it starts with good information. First, you have to have good information. Then you have to have good science to come up with a solution about it. And then you have to find people who will say yes a couple times until you can get, something off the ground. So let's go back. Well, are you showing Amy Goodman stuff now? Is that what you're doing?
Yep, I'm putting on what she said about Julian. This was published today on democracynow.org.
Well, I think that's great. But I mean, Amy's been a big, a fan of his for years, and I think, she's probably a key reason he's seeing the light of day. I have no idea about that. I'm just totally speculating there, but maybe Bob has an idea if he wants to chime in and tell us what he knows about the connection. All we know is it's something it's like they're giving us a breath. We know we need to go to a blue tsunami. We know we need to go to a landslide so big that cannot be stolen by the Supreme Court or any other device, because they will steal this election again. Trust me. And if it's a close election, I'm here to say that is the thing to look at. It is totally rigged. There's not, a transgender person or a woman, I'm guessing. Come on, everybody. This is too big. See, I like to say this other thing, because there's the general drumbeat in the mainstream media is it's too close to call. Why not? It's too close to call. And I think that it's got to go blue. I mean, it's like life does this, but a rigged election makes it too close to call. So.
And what do you think is at stake during this next election? We're talking about Trump getting possibly back
Everything's
into
at stake.
office.
If you don't know, if you don't, this is ridiculous. I don't know. This is where history really clicks in, because if you know any other time, I mean, we're capable of some pretty heinous war crimes and things. It's not a big deal to completely come in and decimate everybody and throw them all in jail. It happens so fast. I mean, I always like to tell my kids, like, it's Sophie's Choice. Like, just watch Sophie's Choice. I mean, I love Meryl Streep. She's one of my favorite actresses. How fast from the life of opulence to the next thing you know, you're making a choice between which kid. It didn't take but a couple of weeks. I mean, it literally a few months from a life of opulence to a point. Look at any of War and Peace. I mean, for goodness gracious, right? Anyway, I don't know. You can't not vote. Please, whatever. I don't do whatever you want. I'm not going to get into that. Thanks, Renee. Let's get out of here.
All right. Well, one last thing. Bob said he thinks it's a game the Democrats play so people don't get complacent and decide not to vote.
Definitely, it feels like that. Throw them a carrot, right? Every once in a while. I mean, it's a Roman ethic, more games, more bread, more circus. We got to get blue, but see, now that's the thing. So I mean, Biden is at the end. That's why he's president. Remember that tantrum he had. If he didn't get it, he was just going to explode. It was his turn. He had done everything that he was supposed to do while Obama was president. He held his tongue. He did. Look at, yeah, no, he's a serious. Are you kidding, man? That guy is sad. What a choice. What a choice. You got a mafioso goofball and a complete made man on the inside of the Bush Cheney legacy. What do you know about that, Renee?
Well, I'll tell you, Bob just said we can do so much better, but it appears the system doesn't want us to have a more viable choice.
Well, good. See, Bob's getting in there now. The
Right.
system is your system. This is where it really is going down, because this is what happens. Once we go into chaos, if we could see, well, and this is complete fantasy, Bob, I'm with you on this one, so you got to go with me. But the idea is that because words are power, because what we say really matters to the universe, and I'm getting more and more of this. I'm getting more and more of this on a daily basis. The fact that what we're going to say is that it's all going to, how is it going to work itself out? It's going to work itself out because Biden's going to get elected. Please, God. And we're not going to go to jail. It's going to just like, we love that, going right up to the corner and just like waiting. And then, of course, well, hey, Grover Cleveland, he was shot. Who took over as president? Harris. Here again, you see a pattern there. Is there a pattern? Okay, so Biden drops dead. Harris takes over. She was selected as, again, it's part of this Masonic order that I think, and this is all my own opinion, and I don't speak for anybody, and this is just stuff that I feel that based on what I know, what I've heard, based on what I've heard, is that her bloodline, because, well, the feminine bloodline is the key. So we have to go back. See, so what Robert Grant, here's my other teacher, Robert Edward Grant. If you're not familiar with his work, you should check him out. He's into this whole numbers thing and geometry and Pythagoras, Pluto, Da Vinci, every possible thing. But I was talking about this idea that these numbers, these patterns, they really are something, fascinating to watch. It just makes the game better, According to what I understand, now this is something I think somebody on KPFK was talking about, is that Kamala Harris she's got some bloodlines that are really interesting connections, some Native American bloodlines, some African American bloodlines, and some interesting things like, what do you see? She's breaking loose in Masonic Order, AOC. I foresee a progressive breaking. Well, maybe.
He's talking
Yeah,
about
see, that's the thing.
AOC.
The
Yeah,
female, I think you're right. I think the female are not going to be necessarily as beholding to this whole Masonic Washingtonian foundation that we are on. It's been, I don't know, has it been useful to this point? Well, you see the infrastructures being completely destroyed by these floods, and obviously we didn't put any money in that. This is weird. Politics is what it is. Can we get it back? I don't. It happens from inside, right? We have to start by playing the game, get your own little house in order, and then you can help other people get their house in order. We know that to be true. So that's where I come in, and I think I'm going to run for the door now.
All right. We gave people a lot of talking points, and we're going to come back and we're going to continue to go down the current events of the day. So when people see us again, we're going to be talking about the things that maybe other people are not comfortable talking about that are happening in the world that are all interconnected. And we're going to start debates and controversial, discussions. We just want people to be thinking for themselves and to know and be aware of what's going on in the world, right? I mean, we're not here to tell people what to think. We're here to assist as we are learning, right?
Well, we're not here to tell people what to think. We're here to, it's only for, this is cool. We have information ready for those ready to hear such things.
Yeah, that's a good way of saying it.
That's
He who has ears, let him hear.
Well, some people just can't hear it, and no matter what you do, you can't do that. So I don't know.
Bob
It's more
said,
right. We're having fun.
Yeah, Bob said, definitely nailed it. Yes, I'm focused on me. And he said, I love this show. Much needed. Thank you. Yes, we're going to be back.
Bob's cool, man.
This is just the pilot. This was us just putting together a pilot. So I'm so glad it's appreciated. We will be back. This was only the beginning, right, Alanson?
Yeah, but since we got, let's have a little treat. Do you have one of my movies from like the desert or anything nearby?
I'm sure I have something. Hold on, let me look.
So I went from, I don't know. The last one I sent you was.
You want 29 Palms?
Yeah, the 29 Palms one.
Okay, keep talking for a second. I'll cue it up.
Yeah, I think we'll leave that with our viewer. Hey, Bob. So what happened is I went out to the desert. Now I'm also a musician, so I played the drums on this track with my friend Larry Sotelo. He was up in Sierra Madre, and we met when I was playing at Pappy and Harriet's, and I thought this was a pretty cool little band. And then I was up in 29 Palms, and I built a house using SIPS panels, which definitely improved the insulation quality. But I should have gone with a 6-inch instead of anyway. There's so many details, but have a take a look and enjoy it. And then these are my desert designs. So they're just mid-century modern throwbacks. I built that one. Had a metal roof. Yep. That was about 1,500 watts. I want to thank Steve Burke on guitar there. And Lonnie Sotelo and Ocho X. See, the thing we like about the SIPS panels is they really come off the truck and you start building the house. It's up in a few hours. And then the finishing part is it was a great place. So I went from there to a whole different way of looking. Part of the experience. love sitting in that porch. All right. Thank you for listening.